Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2016 AAA Texas 500 at Texas Motor Speedway Race Review, where I recap what went on before the race, during the race, and after the race, looking ahead to the upcoming race. This one's going to be a shorter, more condensed race review because it is a Sunday night and I have a busy schedule ahead of me starting tomorrow. So I'm just going to quickly get out the pre-race information. AdvoCare renewed sponsorship, which remained through 2019. Matt Borland returns as a crew chief for Paul Menard starting next year. Michael Nett is going to go down to the Xfinity Series, driving for Dream Motorsports. He currently drives for H. Scott Motorsports, and Harry Scott is looking for a driver. Matt DiBenedetto did not race on Sunday like he was originally scheduled to because he entered the concussion protocol after a crash in the Xfinity Series. Chase Elliott was experiencing flu-like symptoms during the race, and Justin Allgaier was in standby, but Justin Allgaier never hopped into the car. And I think the biggest story, afternoon rain forced a Sunday night race, so that made it so now both Texas races. Well, fine, the spring race was scheduled for a night race anyway, but rain affected both Texas races. And basically made both of them a night race from start to finish. Anyway, so now I'm just gonna talk about my thoughts on the race. Pretty forgettable race for the most part. And that's pretty much all I really have to say. I mean, in year after year after year, Texas continues to solidify that it really should not have two races. I remember sitting around during the 5 to 6 hour rain delay and thinking, man, and to think that several years ago we would have been racing at Rockingham this week. That's really all I could just. That's one thing I thought about, and certainly I think having the race be at the night and not didn't exactly improve the quality of the racing because the racing is slightly better under the daytime and nighttime. It's just that the racing was just not. It just wasn't really that good. There were a couple battles for the lead, but there definitely was not that side by side that many of us side by side passing back and forth that we like to see in races. And Texas can't really ever seem to provide that. Early in the race, in like the first half of the race, Joey Logano dominated, and it looked like that he was going to do what his teammate Rebecca Zilski did a year ago, and that is dominate pretty much almost the entire race. But then during a cycle of green flag pit stops at around lap 190, Logano pitted 1 lap later than Mark Truex Jr. and Carl Edwards, and that made a big difference because Logano went from the lead to third place. Mark Truex Jr. then went on to dominate the next portion of the race, but it was not an easy Sunday night drive. Carl Edwards was catching him, but then after a cycle of green flag pit stops, after lap 225, Mark Truex Jr. not only kept the lead but started pulling away from Carl Edwards. So I think, I think it was clear that the 78 team made some good adjustments to the car. Then on lap 256, we had a caution for Austin Dillon spinning, and all the other cautions beforehand were either for debris or single car spins. Austin Dillon's spin on lap 256 was a single car spin. This led to what would eventually be pretty much the winning moment of the race. Carl Edwards beat Mark Truex Jr. off pit road, and so not only did Carl Edwards do his job, but his pit crew did an excellent job in doing what they had to do. Carl Edwards got the lead, and once he got into the clean air, he was pretty much gone from the most part. We did have a multi-car wreck just after the restart on lap 263. Austin Dillon, his car he was passing Kevin Harvick on the bottom. His car got tight. Kevin Harvick couldn't get out of the gas quick enough. They made contact. Austin Dillon hard to the wall. Then Casey Mears went into the grass. The splitter went into the grass, destroyed the front of the car. Brian Scott went for a spin. And Austin Dillon and the rest of his three team were not very happy as well. Austin Dillon happened to win. Also happened to be the pole center for the second time this year. And he did have a good car that could have easily finished into the top 5. Then after that, we had a restart, and Joey Logano took second, but didn't really have the speed for for quite a while, but then later in the run, Logano said that he was catching Carl Edwards, but then on lap 290, the Saturn caution came out, and it was for rain. And at first it wasn't coming out hard, but then it started pouring on lap 294. The red flagged the race, and about maybe somewhere between about 5 minutes after all the cars came down the road, NASCAR called the race, and Carl Edwards went on to win. Third win at Texas, third win this year, first win since winning at Richmond back in April, which was almost 6 months ago. And Carl Edwards, who entered this race like 32 points below the cutoff line after a crash at Martinsville, he will now compete in the Final Four. I think this is also, I'm not quite sure, but I think this is also the first time ever at Texas Motor Speedway that a Sprint Cup race has been rain shortened. I know there have been a couple of races that have gotten postponed, but I don't think we've ever had a Sprint Cup race in Texas rain shortened until this race. As far as calling the race short, it's disappointing to have any race be rain shortened, but especially when it's a chase race. However, I will admit, I understand why NASCAR had to do it. You know, like the rain was coming down hard at the time. It took 5 hours. It took 5 to 6 hours to get the track fully dry, and race ready, and it would have left it been the same. If we're going to have the chase, then I feel like that we need to start considering coming up with a rule to have these chase races and at full distance no matter what. Also with the rain, there are other storm cells still heading towards the racetrack. So it was an unfortunate situation all around. That's really all I gotta say. And now Carl Edwards goes on to the Final Four. What are his chances? Well, him and Jimmy Johnson, those are the only two drivers that we know are going to be competing for a title at Homestead. And if you ask me who has the better chance of winning the race and winning the championship, I would say Carl Edwards, and for obvious reasons. You know, he's won there twice. Johnson hasn't won there at all. So, and Carl Edwards, his season has actually been good, definitely better than last year, despite at times being the weakest JGR driver. I think that Carl Edwards is definitely going to be someone to beat going to Homestead. And so now we have two storylines. Jimmy Johnson is going to be competing for his 7th title. Carl Edwards, after coming close, most notably in 2008 and 2011, he's going to have another shot at it. Will he be able to win the title this time? And we still have two spots that have yet to be decided. And I'm not going to pull up a picture, but I will tell you what the chase picture looks like going into Homestead. Well, not going to Homestead, Phoenix. So Johnson and Edwards, they're moving on to Homestead. Had to take a drink. Logano and Kyle Busch, they are both 1 point ahead of the cutoff, so they are tied. Matt Kenseth, first driver below the cutoff, 1 point behind. Hamlin is 2 points behind the cutoff, and so that's an incredibly tight race. It'll basically come down to who finishes ahead of the other, especially if none of the 4 drivers win. And then the final two drivers, Kevin Harvick, 18 points behind, so he's pretty much going to need to win or hope that everyone else in front of him in points crashes. And Kurt Busch, who is also in a must-win situation, 34 points behind the cutoff. I don't think he's going to do it. He has not shown the speed. He has just not had the speed of a race-winning car, a top 5 car, a top 10 car. Well, fine, maybe top 10 is a bit of a stretch, but like a race-winning car, top 5 car, he just has not had that speed for the last couple months. Kevin Harvick, if there's one track that they are glad is an elimination race in the chase, it is Phoenix, a track that Harvick has won 6 out of the last 10 races, that led hundreds of laps. I think that there's a good chance that we will see Kevin Harvick be a contender for the win. And in this chase, not only this year but also the past few years, they have performed at their best when the back is against the wall. So we'll just see if Harvick can pull this off. He has never been eliminated since NASCAR went to this new chase format. So Phoenix is where we are going to next Sunday, and I will also happen to be there in person, just like I was back in March. Speaking of the March race, we had an incredible photo finish between Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards. Harvick won by inches, pretty much, in what was an incredible close final lap. We could be in for the same next Sunday, and unlike last year in the fall race, the weather is looking nice, sunny. About 80 degrees, so it'll be good. So it'll be good weather, um, and we'll just see. And then after that race, we will know who is moving on to Homestead. Like I said earlier, I think Kevin Harvick is going to be the favorite. Because of his track record there. As far as any other drivers that has a good chance there. I remember Carl Edwards came really close to win there back in March. I also remember Kyle Busch having a good car there. Jimmy Johnson, historically good at Phoenix, so he could be a contender. Or who knows? Maybe we'll have a surprise, unexpected winner, depending on how the race turns out. And that will pretty much be it for this recap. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and bye.